You know, when you guys suggested we do a deep dive into some celebrity news,
Yeah.
I have to admit I was picturing something maybe a little more salacious.
Oh, yeah.
This Al Pacino story, though, I mean, this one's got layers.
It's true. Yeah. On the surface, it's got all the classic elements of a Hollywood headline.
Right.
You know, you've got your breakups, you've got a significant age gap, you've got a new baby.
Yeah.
But what's really fascinating here is what it reveals, I think, about how fatherhood and really our whole perception of it is changing.
So, okay, for anyone who hasn't been glued to the 24-hour Pacino news cycle, the man is 84 years old, and he just became single again.
Yeah.
His partner of 2 years, Noor Al-Fal, is 30, and they just had a baby boy together.
And it's that age difference, that really kind of throws a wrench in our typical ideas about fatherhood.
Yeah.
Makes you confront, maybe some of the assumptions that we have about age virility and what society considers acceptable.
Right. And here's the thing that I think is so interesting, Pacino, is, by all accounts, absolutely loving being a dad again.
Yeah.
There's a quote where he calls it a mini miracle, which I don't know about you, but that does not exactly scream grumpy old man to me.
No, not at all. And this is important to remember. This isn't his first rodeo.
Right.
This is a man who has a rich and, dare I say, complex history with fatherhood.
Right.
He has 3 other children.
Oh, wow.
2 with the actress Beverly D'Angeli, and then another from an earlier relationship with an acting coach, Jan Tarrant.
So we're not talking about like a first-time dad caught off guard here.
Right.
This is a man who, throughout his life, has really leaned into fatherhood. It begs the question, I guess, what is it about this experience about being a dad that resonates so deeply with him, even at 84?
It's a great question, and I think to really get at the answer, we need to zoom out a little bit and look at how the whole landscape of fatherhood is evolving, because Pacino's story, as unique as it is because celebrity, it's actually part of a much bigger trend that we're seeing.
So are we saying there's like a whole wave of older dads now? Is that a new thing, or are we just noticing it more these days?
I think it's probably a bit of both, to be honest. I mean, people are straight up living longer, for one.
It's true.
We've got better healthcare people in their 70s. Even 80s are often healthier than, previous generations were at that age.
Right.
But it's got to be more than just biology, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a cultural shift happening too, right? It's like the old rule book is out the window.
Totally.
Careers, relationships, when to have kids, it's all getting shaken up.
Absolutely. And the old model of, finish school, get married, start a family right away, it's being totally rewritten. People are starting families later, sometimes multiple families, and yeah, that includes men. And this is where things, I think, get really interesting, because research is actually showing that older fathers, especially when they're really present in their kids' lives, they can have a really positive influence.
Interesting.
Yeah, they tend to bring a different kind of wisdom and patience to the table.
You'd think so, right? I mean, they've had more time to figure things out, see more of life's ups and downs.
Exactly.
I imagine there are some unique challenges that come with it too, though.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
You're going to have those generational gaps for perspectives on parenting. And we can't forget the physical demands of raising kids, which, let's be real, can be a lot tougher later in life.
Yeah, no kidding.
But I think the main takeaway here is we're moving away from this idea that there's only one right way to be a dad.
It's more about embracing all the different ways of doing it, right? Acknowledging that there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
100%.
Yeah.
And speaking of different experiences, we do have to remember that, Pacino's story is fascinating, but it's also happening within this very specific world of celebrity. We can't ignore that aspect of it.
True. It's not like this is a quiet family affair. It's all over the tabloids.
Exactly.
This whole thing blew up because of paparazzi pictures, right?
Yeah.
And now there are rumors flying about Noor Al-Fal, who she's dating, now that they've split.
And it's interesting, the article does mention that connection with Bill Maher, but it's kind of telling how quickly the focus shifts from Pacino as a father to all the speculation about his ex's love life.
Yeah, it's like we as a culture almost can't help ourselves, can we? We gravitate towards the gossip,
Yeah.
the drama.
It's true.
It's almost like we're more interested in that than the bigger questions the story brings up.
What's interesting about that? It makes me think about how differently we seem to view older fathers versus older mothers in the media in general. Like, it's just a different standard, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. You've put your finger right on it. I think it goes back to those double standards we were talking about before.
Totally. We're so quick to call a man a silver fox as he ages.
Right.
But women are held to this whole different standard. It's like society doesn't know what to do with a woman aging in motherhood.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's almost like men are given this pass to kind of defy those traditional timelines.
Exactly.
With women, it's like Their age is always right there under a microscope.
Yeah. It's true. And it's a shame because it speaks to these really deeply ingrained expectations about gender roles.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Expectations that, frankly, have been around for centuries.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? The fact that we're even having this conversation, that we're acknowledging these double standards, gives me hope.
Yeah.
Maybe the needle's starting to shift at least a little.
I hope so. So as we come back around to Al Pacino and his mini miracle and this whole bigger conversation about what it means to be a father in this day and age, what's the one thing you really want our listeners to walk away thinking about?
This is a good question.
Yeah.
You know, I think at its heart, this isn't just a story about one celebrity and his personal choices.
Mm-hmm.
It's about challenging those ingrained assumptions we were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's about accepting that life is messy. And it doesn't always fit into those neat little boxes we try to put it in.
Right.
Especially when it comes to something as complex and personal as family and fatherhood.
I like that. And, maybe it's a good reminder to approach these conversations and honestly each other with a little more openness and a lot less judgment.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
That's a great place to wrap up, I think. This deep dive into Al Pacino's world took us on quite a journey, didn't it?
It sure did.
Societal expectations, evolving families, the ever-changing landscape of fatherhood. We covered a lot of ground, and we hope it's given you all out there something to think about.